I'm going to tell you my story. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Tara Dawson McGinnis. I am the proud granddaughter of Patrick McGinnis and Euphemia Quinn, who came to the United States as teenagers through Ellis Island. Very afraid. They brought nothing but what they wore and could carry. They knew no one. Patrick McGinnis became a worker for the railroad. He took care of horses. He couldn't take the job he had from where he came. That was not something Irish people were allowed to do, craft or coopers. So he took care of horses and shoveled shit. Euphemia Quinn, my grandmother, to make ends meet for their children, went to work at night in a factory that made souvenirs. Statues of Liberty, small big apple pencils, worked with her hands. What was possible for Patrick and Euphemia was the promise that no matter where you come from and where you were born, if you work hard and play by the rules, you can participate in our American story. I have to tell you that this dream is under threat. What was true for Patrick and Euphemia, that you could bring a generation out of poverty to graduate school in one foul swoop, is not possible for the Patricks and Euphemias of today. This is a dream under threat. This is not a threat that we cannot face down before as Americans. For generations, we have fought the idea that scarcity and fear could threaten the participation of all Americans in its times. And I believe, I have the courage of convictions, that in this generation we will fight down the same threat from those who believe that dividing us, using a tool of division and fear, can conquer what is truly ours. This story that I'm telling you is my story. It is our story. It is a story that we carry with us because this is not about immigrants' rights. This is a fight about the fundamental fabric of who we are as Americans. We carry the idea, on our pocket change we discussed in our group. On the quarter it says, pluribus unum. The concept that out of many, we are stronger as one. And it is not whether or not we will stand up for immigrants, but will we stand by this that has made us a great nation. And that is our challenge.
We have been working towards sustainability here for 20 years. We have kicked the coal companies out of this state. There is no coal power, there is no coal plant. Okay, this is where we are. We have this amazing technological edge and this long history of technological excellence that is now being trained wholeheartedly on a green future. The term green jobs was coined right here by a man in this room, right? This is who we are. Our capital, we have a lot of money, a lot of it's going toward this future. We are committed. We have been committed for a long time. So what's going on now? So up in Bellingham, which a lot of you know, it's a great little town, down in Longview, down north of Portland, we've got a big coal company that wants to bring a railroad through to a port built in one of these two cities, or maybe both, that brings coal from Montana and Wyoming, puts it on a ship and takes it over to China to fuel their coal plants. The threat is well, okay, let me back to answer. We've been leading toward this carbon-free future, but as a state, we need to stand with the citizens of this town to resist this, because it's not who we are, it's not who they are. The coal companies are offering about 150 jobs. They're not making anything out of this, it's just passing through, so there's some shit jobs involved here. But this is still a pretty sweet deal in towns that are struggling with 20% plus unemployment. But what they're offering in exchange for these jobs, mile-long trains, with open coal, dust up the town, tie up traffic, create health and safety problems, pollute the air, pollute the water, destroy the coasts, and reintroduce a 19th century coal economy that we have moved so far past, that we are leading America so far past, they want to bring us back to that. What they propose to take to give back cannot possibly be worth what they are trying to take. Worst of all, they're trying to reduce the United States to the status of an economic resource colony for China. And I don't think that's what America is. That's not the vision any of us have. It's not the future that the people of Bellingham or Longview have planned for either. To take this deal going, he would have to walk away from the long-awaited waterfront redevelopment. They've been 10 years in planning. This redevelopment will reclaim their historic downtown, rebuild their wharves, nurture scores of small businesses, generate a whole lot more than 150 jobs. Longview also has a master plan in place that lays out a vision that leads them away from bulk commodity shipping, which is what they've always done. And they've already said, this is not where our future lies. We're going to exploit our beautiful waterfront, our beautiful area. We're 40 miles from Portland. And we're going to make ourselves a recreation town, a retirement town, something other than what we have been. The people of these towns are heroes for fighting this fight, and they do not stand alone. The people of this state have turned back big coal plenty of times. We have worked hard to make sure they have no part of our energy future. They have no place here now, and there's no reason to ever let them back in. The coal companies say that if we don't take their deal, they'll take their business to Portland or to Vancouver, BC. And we say, fair enough, let them try. They're probably going to find out pretty quickly that the people in those towns have the same values and the same vision of the future that we do. This is how we roll in the Pacific Northwest. This is who we are. This is the future.
Dive right in. So America has always been more than just a place on the map. It's an ideal, an aspiration, a potential. It's a land of opportunity, of freedom, of justice, and of prosperity. If you work hard and play by the rules, you too can achieve the American dream. Sound familiar? Probably. Sound good? Absolutely. Is it still true? Today, hardworking, talented men and women are under attack. Firefighters, nurses, teachers, cops in every state in the union are struggling to pay the bills and make ends meet. Families are living in motels because they've been forced out of their homes. Every day, moms and dads are making tough choices about how to spend their money, how to fulfill their responsibilities in a resource-constrained environment. Since 2007, white families have seen a net wealth reduction of 23%. For black families, it's nearly 4 times that, at 87%. Nationwide, 14 million children were in poverty before the Great Recession. According to the most recent census, that number has climbed to 16 million, up 2 million in 2 years. That is the fastest fall for the middle class since the government started counting more than half a century ago. Our veterans, our young men and young women who are willing to make the greatest sacrifice, are coming home from the front lines only to fight battles on a new front. Fighting for health care, for jobs, to get the support they so desperately need, fighting for a roof over their head, fighting to put food on the table for their families. When did it become patriotic to talk about cutting benefits for veterans when the average CEO makes 100 times more than the average soldier? If we don't pass a budget that reflects our values and our ideal, that America is the land of opportunity, of stability, of prosperity, we will lose the ability to realize that American dream. For the first time in the history of our great nation, the next generation, our children and our grandchildren, will not be better off than the generation that came before. Greedy corporations and individuals, people with more money than morals, who think the rules don't apply to them and who try to cheat the system at every turn, are threatening the very foundation of our nation. But everyday Americans are standing up and fighting back. They are fighting for a budget that reflects American values and strengthens the middle class by creating the opportunity we all deserve. And it's time for our leaders in Washington to lead, to pass a budget that ensures that the American dream can be a reality for the hardworking men and women of today and tomorrow.
So let me introduce myself. I'm April Sims. I'm the Legislative and Political Action Field Coordinator for the Washington Federation of State Employees. It's a lot of words. But I don't just work for the union. I have a personal connection with the work that I do, and a personal connection to the union. My story, or the story of the union, is really about my mom. She's a single mother with 3 kids, and she believed in hard work and the American dream. She didn't expect to get rich or be famous, but she did expect that in America, if she worked hard and she played by the rules, she could earn enough money to pay the bills, take care of her family, have benefits and health care, and be able to put a little something away every month so she could retire. But the American dream wasn't a reality for us because we were poor. And I'm not talking that money's tight kind of poor. I'm talking that they turned off our electricity kind of poor. And we were on and off welfare most of my childhood. And don't get me wrong, my mom worked, and she worked hard. But something, would inevitably happen. One of us would get sick, and she'd lose her job. Like the time we all got the flu, and she was fired. Because the company that she worked for thought it was more important to give the CEO a bonus than it was to give paid sick leave to the workers. Or sometimes she quit because the working conditions were really poor. There was the winter that she worked the morning shift at the dry cleaners. And the manager didn't want to turn on the heat because she was the only one who worked there. So he wanted to line his pocket with a few extra bucks, and there was no one there to hold him accountable. She didn't have a voice. No one had her. And they had our family stuck in a cycle of poverty. And then she got a union job, and everything changed. Her hard work was rewarded with a livable wage so she could keep the lights on. She got benefits like sick leave, so she didn't get fired when my brother and sister and I all got the chicken pox. And in 23 months from today, I'm sure she's got a different countdown, but my mom will retire with economic dignity because she has a pension. I think a lot about what our life would have been like had she not gotten that job. And I don't know, but I do know that she was lucky. She had the opportunity to join a union and elevate our family out of poverty. Just like I know that there are a lot of hardworking mothers and fathers and men and women out there who do not have the opportunity to join a union. They're not lucky. No one's got their back. They don't have the opportunity to end the cycle of poverty that they're in. And in America, you shouldn't have to be lucky to achieve the American dream. Right now, greedy CEOs and irresponsible corporations are using the bad economy to pit worker against worker. They're pitting union workers like my mom against non-union workers who don't have job protections and benefits. And they're trying to destroy the unions. And when I see them trying to destroy the unions, I see that greedy CEO who fired my mom because I got sick. I see that manager who wouldn't turn on the heat so he could make a few extra bucks. And so I hope that the next time you hear someone blame a union worker for everything that's wrong in America, that you'll have their back. I hope that you'll think about my mom and her struggle to achieve the American dream.